Okay, so in this superposition thing, what we have is, if you recall, we have already solved this circuit R1. Then we have a battery source. So let us develop our intuitions from the analysis which we have already done. So in that sense, you will be able to appreciate the importance of the superposition theorem which we are discussing today. So this is your R4, and then we have this thing here. So this is, let us say, I1, and this is, let us say, I2. So I hope you have solved this question, right? Last time I have just given it like that. So maybe if you want to cross check with the matrix that will come for this particular question, you can cross check now. So for this particular circuit, if you recall the G matrix which I had asked you to solve for it, is it looks like this. It's G1 here, then we have G2, G3, then we have minus G3. Please mute your mic. Whosoever is, please mute your mic. Okay, so here we have this thing, and then we have 0 and minus G3, and then we have G4 plus G3. And here you have the nodal values that we calculated last time. So is this G matrix correct? Did you try this at home? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the
Yes,
G
sir.
matrix for this network. So now one thing is important here, as you can recall. So I was telling you that this is a matrix representation. So you can write like this: G, then you have V, and then you have a capital I. So basically, these are all known to you, and these are the unknowns, and this is the matrix that you are actually finding out for this. So now there is another way of solving this. So another way of solving is it what? Like, just a second.
सर
Yes.
सर वो I1 वाले मैट्रिक्स में बीच में वी नॉट आएगा ना जीरो की जगह.
Ah, yeah, right. Good. So this will be V naught here.
Sir, in my screen, if you are writing, I can't see the changes.
Oh, okay. So shall I change the colors then? Okay, just a second. So black one was good then. Okay, is it?
No, sir, I think there is some sharing problem.
Sir, can you enlarge the screen full screen mode?
Regarding that full screen, it will be a trouble for me, I guess. Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. Okay.
But the problem is, I don't know whether, the recording will come out fine or not, because I don't know whether this will zoom or not. So that will create a trouble for me right now. Maybe in the next lecture we can do it. Okay, because I don't know whether this recording space which I am recording it for, this particular screen, it will be with some other setting, and it will create problem, because there will be some issues. So maybe next lecture I will do it. Okay, just remind me on Google Classroom to do it, because I always forget. So okay, so here, if is this color okay with everyone, the black color?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It's
sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
okay.
Yes, sir.
So here you see, uh, what you do is, as you know, you are doing it like this, right? G inverse I. So this is quite simple to do. Like, you are doing an inverse, and then you are calculating the voltages. Now, what we can do is we can solve it other way around also. And the other way of solving it is you do it like this. Can we do like this? Like, right now, here we have I1, here we have V0, and here we have I2. So can we do like this? I1 0 0. inverse 0 V0 I2 G inverse 0 0 sorry, not this here, it will be 0 here, and then we have I2. So can we solve like this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So how
Yes,
many of
sir.
you are comfortable with this type of representation? Like you are okay,
Yes,
right?
sir.
We
Yes,
can
sir.
solve.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay, good. So
Yes,
this
sir.
actually forms the background of superposition theorem. And what it says is, you can see closely that this matrix remains the same, the G inverse matrix remains the same, but what you see is, one of the source is active and other ones are deactivated. Here in this, only V0 is activated, and here only I2 is activated. So right now in this architecture which you are seeing over here, you have three independent sources, I1, then you have V0, and then you have I2. And here what you observe is, okay, instead of all acting at the same time, what this guy is doing here is, he is first of all forcing I1 to activate and keeping all the others deactivated, and in the second time what they are doing, they are keeping other current sources deactivated and only the voltage source activated, and in the third one, the voltage and the current and the voltage source are deactivated and only I2 is activated. So what they have seen is like this can be solved like this. So this is the concept of superposition. So let us discuss what superposition is. So for example, now if I say I am deactivating the current source, if I am deactivating the current source means I am putting current source as I0. So what it means in terms of the circuit, can anyone tell me? Like if I am putting I1 equal to 0, what implications it will have onto the circuit, a wire? Like if you have a
Open
wire
circuit.
like this, so what it will be?
Short circuit.
Open, open.
It will
Open
be
circuit.
open.
Open circuit.
Okay,
Open circuit.
right. So it will be open because, as you know, if the wires are not there and it's cut, there will be no current flowing into it. It's not a short, it will be open circuit. Okay. And how about the voltage source? If I say it's zero, then what it means?
Then it is short circuit, sir.
Then it
Short
is short
circuit.
circuit. Yeah, good.
Short circuit.
Short circuit.
So that means all the voltages here are, there is whatever voltage you have here, what is the same here, and then the difference is zero. So it's V equal to zero means you have a short circuit. I1 equal to zero means you have an open circuit. So okay, so now you all will agree that if only current I1 is activated, then I1 will be the current source, and this voltage source V2 is zero means it will be open circuit. Oh, sorry, short circuit. And this current source is 0 means it will be open circuit. So let us visualize this particular uh, expression in terms of some figures. So let us say you have a network, a very complex network. We are not going into the details of this network. And this network itself, within that, contains resistors, contains capacitors, contains inductors, and dependent sources. So right now, for this particular lectures which we are doing now, we are not considering capacitors and inductors because we will be dealing it later on. So what I am considering here is only resistors and dependent sources. So you will have elements like resistors and dependent sources within this network, and there will be multiple such connections in between them. And then this particular network is forced by some sources like this from outside. So let us say you have a current source like this, and then you have let us say a voltage source like this, and then you have another current source like this, I1, I2, like this. You have this one. So what this expression says, this one, I'm trying to tell you pictorially on this. So what this expression says is, this circuit, if you are solving through nodal analysis, which you have already done so many times, is equal to solving the same circuit 3 times, in which you know what you will do? You will, let me copy this. So what it means is, this is equivalent to this with this voltage source replaced by what? It will be replaced by a short circuit. This current source will be replaced by open circuit.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, I think your screen is kind of glitching, or is it just me? I don't know, because like if you're typing something, it's displaying after some time, like after 15-20 seconds.
Oh,
Like,
okay. Just a second then.
No, sir,
I will-
it's
No, sir, it's fine.
It's okay?
No, sir, it's
Sir,
not.
it happened to me, but if you refresh, it's coming back.
Okay.
okay,
Now,
thanks.
okay. Okay. So now what happens is, this is actually addition of all these three, and here now we'll have this current source open, and we will have a voltage source like this, and in the third case what will happen? We will have a I3 like this. So this is basically the pictorial representation where you have this current source acting first, and you have replaced the voltage source by a short circuit, and this current source also by a open circuit. Then you do the analysis, and in analysis what I am trying to say is, let us say, let me be specifically clear about that. So if you have a resistor somewhere in the circuit, and if you want to calculate the current in this resistor, so if we are interested in calculating the current in this resistor, so what that will be? That will be actually, you will have a IR1 first of all. Why it is IR1? Because you are only considering the current source I1, and you are shorting the voltage, and here also you are opening the current source. So whatever current that will flow in this configuration for this particular resistor, we are saying it as IR1. Then in the second configuration, we are opening the both current sources and applying the voltage source. So in that configuration, the current flowing into this resistor will be IR2. And in the last case, when voltage and current sources are short circuited and the last current source is acting, in that case we will say in this resistor the current flowing is IR3. So as you can see now, that summation of all these three different circuits actually is equivalent to the original circuit. And I am not cooking up this story, and you can see it's from mathematics. From here you can see, and from here what you observe is this thing. So this is basically, if you want to calculate IR for this circuit which is on the left side, that will be equal to IR1, IR2, and then IR3. So this is basically the concept of superposition, where if you have multiple number of current sources and voltage sources, then what you do is you activate one of it at a time and short and open the other ones, and do it repeatedly for all the current sources and voltage sources. And wherever you are asked to calculate the current, you calculate the current in that branch, and finally you add up all the currents to get the final current. And note one important thing here, we will solve the question also related to it, don't worry about it, but you have to check for the polarities. For example, suppose for this circuit, if the current is flowing in this direction, it might be the case that in this circuit your current will flow in the opposite direction. So if that type of situation happens, then ideally it will be plus minus type of situation. So depending upon the flow of current, it will be either adding or will be subtracting. So this is basically the concept of superposition. Any questions here related to it? So everybody got the idea, like what superposition is? So it's very
Yes, sir.
it's very simple,
Sir,
right? So let us solve.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, superposition can also be applied to control sources if they are any control
No,
voltage
for
source
controlled
or-
sources, see what I told, control sources will be inside this. it will be there, but it will be inside. You cannot apply to controlled sources. So these controlling voltages, please note, these controlling voltages which are there for this particular control source also will be inside this network only. You cannot have this controlled current source from some other network. Like, you know, if there is another network here, you cannot have this current I depending upon that. So this I has to be within this network only, first of all, first thing. And the second thing is, you cannot have this as a behavior like this. So it will be treated as these elements R, L and C, and you cannot do superposition on this type of sources. Okay, it will
Okay.
not. Okay, so let us solve a simple question first, and then a little bit tough after that. So here, if you have, let us say IS1, then you have a resistance like this, 50 ohms. Then you have VS3, a voltage source, 150 ohms, and then you have IS2. So these are the three three sources, independent sources, which are current source, voltage source, and two current sources and one voltage source. And what we want actually I out here. We want to calculate I out here. So what we will do, we will apply superposition to solve this. So there are multiple ways of solving it. As you know, you can go through super node, you can go to nodal, KCL, KVL, whatever you want. But these methods or these theorems which we are discussing here, they simplify sometimes your analysis, and it will make life easier. That's why we are studying these different theorems. But all of them, whatever you apply, will give you same results. So this is important, and you keep this in mind. So what we are trying to do now is we are trying to calculate I out here. So as per the superposition theory, we will have three different circuits. First circuit will be a current source like this, IS1. Then you have 50 ohms. What will this be like? It will be a short circuit or open circuit here?
Open circuit.
Short
It will be
circuit.
short circuit.
Short circuit.
And this will be open. So everybody agrees with this particular thing when IS1 is activated.
Yes, sir.
So if IS1
Yes,
is
sir.
activated, you can calculate I out easily, right? You can calculate I out by doing what? It's a parallel resistance, right? Between 50 and 150, you have a parallel resistance. One is 50, another one is 150. So
Yes.
your I out will be 50 over
0.5.
50 over 200 into I out. So it will be 0.25 IS1. Okay. So please note the direction will be this side. This is the direction for I out. Now the second thing is, it's not over yet. We have to do a plus because we have three different sources. In the second architecture, it will be 50 ohms. This will be open circuited here. Then you have a voltage source like this, which is VS3. Then you have a resistance. So it's 50 and 150, and this is also open circuit. So in this
By
case,
symmetry, they will be equal, right?
sorry, what you are saying?
By symmetry.
Which symmetry you are saying? Which symmetry?
I mean, the current will be same.
No, why current will be same here? These are two different current sources, right? The
But
direction.
The resistors are also different.
If we take IS2 activated, then also 150-50 will be in parallel. So
In that sense, you are right. In that sense, you are right. But the direction of the current we have to see. Okay.
okay, sir.
So here you see, if you apply KVL here, because this is the circuit which you are left with when only voltage source is activated. In that case, if you write the KVL and solve for the current, it will be I out 2, we can say like that. It's I out 1. So I out 2 will be 0.005 VS3. Okay. So this current will also be flowing in this direction only. So the direction of the flow will be like this. And in the last case, we have 50, then this is short, then you have 150 here, and here the current is in this direction, and this is open circuited. So in this situation, what will happen? In this situation, your I out 3 will be minus 0.25 IS2, which is this one, because your currents will be now flowing in this direction.
Sir, it would be 150 by 200, right?
150 by
200.
No, sir.
Yes,
It
yes.
was 150 by 7500
yeah,
by
150 by 200 only, right?
So sir, it would be 0.75, not
Yeah,
200.
so the
Okay, okay, okay.
resistors are switched means.
Right, sorry. 0.75. Okay. So this is
Yes.
the current, and note that the direction of the current will be this side. So now your final I out will be I out 1 plus I out 2 plus I out 3. And what is that? It will be 0.25 IS1 plus 0.005 VS3 minus 0.75 IS2. So this is the final I out when you have three different sources acting independently. So I hope you got the idea like what this superposition is all about. Okay, one point I want to emphasize here, and that is important because we will be using that point somewhere down the line when we will be proving Thevenin theorems. So we are actually, not going by the way, books are saying, like, in superposition do like this, do like that. We are going by the fundamentals, and then we are understanding it, like why we are doing these type of stuffs. So in line of that, there is one more concept which is extension of basically this superposition theorem, which will be helpful for us in understanding Thevenin theorems. So whatever I am teaching here will have some significance in the understanding of theorems which we will be discussing next. So keep this concepts clear, and pay attention to what I am saying now. So here, if you have a circuit, again I am drawing pictures only. So here you have a linear circuit, and by linear circuit you already know we have resistances, inductance and capacitances with no initial charges and dependent sources here. So if you have a, again I'm doing the same thing, current, then you have a voltage V, and then you have a voltage, let us say V2 here. So what I'm trying to say here is, we can actually solve this circuit which is on the left side by individually acting these current sources and voltage sources and shutting down the other ones, as we have already discussed. That is, we will put only this I1 and keeping this V1 and V2 off, and then keeping V1 and putting these two off, and in the third case putting only V2 and keeping all other two off. So by adding the responses, we can find out the total response for a particular current flowing in the resistor, or depending upon what electrical quantity you want to measure, you can do it in the similar way. Maybe it's a nodal voltage also. If I want to calculate V1 at some node, you can do that also using superposition theorem. So it's not only restricted to calculating the current in the resistor, it can be anything. So the important point that I want to discuss here is, it's not necessary that you have to always, shut down all the voltage and current sources and keep only single current or voltage source. What you can do is, you can have two activated at the same time. So if you recall earlier, what we wrote was this expression, let us say. So if you have, here we will have V2. So it's not necessary that you have to always do this. You can do this also, because this is also equivalent. I1, V1, 0 plus G inverse 0, 0, V2. Both of them are equal or no? So these two
Yes,
expressions
sir.
are equal, right? This one and this one.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
Yeah.
what
Yes,
it
sir.
says physically, implicitly,
Yes,
what
sir.
it says physically is, in the earlier expression we already know what it says. In the second expression, what it says is we can get the same answer if we allow both these sources to act at the same time, and this one open circuited, and in the next expression we will off this and only activate this, as you can see from this expression. But the important point to be note here is that whatever source you are taking once, it should not be counted twice. That is, if you are putting these two voltage and current sources at the same time, you cannot use either of them individually or with V2. So you have to only activate I1 single time only. Like it has to be counted only once. That is important. So it's not that you will do like this. Uh, so this is not correct. As you can see, mathematically also it's not correct. So so the important thing is whatever controls, whatever voltage sources and current sources you have to count them only single time and not multiple times. But you can do this also. This is also quite feasible. That is, you use one current and voltage source and keep this one deactivated, and in the next time you keep this one and deactivate both of them together. So I hope you understand this, and this is the extension of superposition, which we are saying extended superposition. Right now you are not getting into like why we are doing it, but when we will be proving super Thevenin theorems, this will be used extensively there. So this is the concept, which is simple but important to understand. So let us solve.
Sir,
Yes.
so basically in superposition as well, we are just like in the previous question that we did, in that also we are just simply calculating the R net, and then we are multiplying it with the component that is activated, right? Like we have to do it like the way we wrote in the matrix.
Uh, see, uh, See, these things are different way of solving the circuit. Do not confuse them with each other. Okay, there are some methods which you will find convenient for in solving for nodal analysis. In some methods, you will feel convenient in solving through mesh analysis. Like for example, if you have something in parallel, like if you have a lot of resistances and current sources, and then you have a single resistance here, then you have again one current source, then you have again one voltage source like this. So in these type of circuits, what is easy? It's nodal analysis easy because here you have only two nodes.
Yes.
Understand or not? But if you do mesh analysis here, it is a problem because you have to do one loop, second loop, third loop, fourth loop, and here also you have so many super nodes coming up in between them. So by observing this particular circuit, you can say nodal analysis is better. But if you have multiple meshes, as you can see in the ladder networks that we have in the circuits, let me draw that also. Answer will come from both the ways, like whether you do from this or that. So here also, if you have something like this, in these type of situations, mesh analysis will be helpful because nodal analysis will be cumbersome because here you have so many nodes. So it's better
Yes.
to go for mesh analysis. So do not mix different methods together, but whatever you find is best method to solve this circuit, you take that approach until unless we are specifically telling you that you have to solve by this method. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, yes, sir. And sir, I did not understand that even if the R network was same, why in the first one we got 0.25 and in the last one we got 0.75?
Okay.
Yes,
So
sir, I have the same doubt.
okay. So here you see these two are parallel networks, right? These
Yes, sir.
two you can see here. Let me show it. You have here you have 150 and then you have 50, right? And what you are
Yes.
doing, you are actually calculating current in this branch, whatever is going in this 50. So these are two parallel resistances, like so it has to be in parallel resistance. What is the concept in parallel resistance? The concept is you have if you have two resistances, let us say R1, R2, and if you want to calculate current in the R1 branch, then it will be R2 divided by R1 plus R2 times the total current. equal to,
Okay.
understand? So
Yes, sir.
so this is the concept. You can because these are parallel resistance, right? So this is coming from parallel resistance. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So if somebody has a problem, then I can just again tell you, so that if people are having trouble in understanding this, it will be, they will feel comfortable. Like if you want to calculate the current I1 here, this I1 is nothing but it will be R1 over R1 plus R2 times I total. This is the total current. And if you want to calculate I2, then you can calculate it by using R2 over R1 plus R2 times I total. You can easily derive this, it's very easy. So for two parallel resistances, we can straight away write like this. Okay, so if you have a question like this, let us say you have 24 volts, then you have 3 ohms here, and then you have a 7 ampere current source, and now you have 2 ohms this side, and then we have a dependent source 3i here, and this is your I. So if we want to calculate for this thing I, the value of I, how will we calculate? So in the first case, what we will do, we will actually deactivate this first. So if we deactivate this first, our circuit will become like this: 24 volts, 3 ohms, 2 ohms, and then we have a plus minus 3i here. And this I depends upon this I. Please note that this I depends upon this I, and the direction is given to me in this way. So it is fixed. Keep this in mind that this direction is fixed, at least for this control source. So, so you have this I here, and we apply a KVL like this. So if you apply a KVL like this, your answer will be what? 24 minus 3i minus 2i minus 3i equal to 0. So from here you will get answer as I equal to 3 amperes. Everybody okay with this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So here I is 3 amperes. In the second, now we are doing a superposition. Note, I am not changing the dependent source. So this will clear your doubts that this will be not deactivated or activated. It will always be there. So now in the second case, it will be a summation. And now this is 24 volts will be a short circuit. So that's why it is short here. And then we have 3 ohms, 2 ohms, and then you have a current source like this, and here the current source value is 7 amperes, and then you have a 3i like this, and here you have a current I like this. So if you want to solve it using whatever choice you have, you can do it. I normally prefer here, like in this situation, what is the best way of solving it? Can anyone tell from the earlier methods that we have done?
Sir, we can put the pi.
Nodal analysis.
Right, good.
Nodal
Nodal.
analysis.
Yes.
Node analysis.
So that's the best way of doing it. You can take this value as V1 here. This is your V1 or V, whatever you say. It's V here, let us say. So it will be what? V divided by 3, V minus 3I divided by 2 equal to 7. So will you all agree with this? What I have written here. So what we are assuming in nodal? We are assuming in nodal that the currents are leaving the circuit. Right? When we derived it, what we assumed? We assumed that currents are leaving the node. So if currents are leaving the node, one is V by 3, another one is V minus 3I divided by 2, because it's a voltage controlled, it's a current controlled voltage source, so it's V minus 3I divided by 2, and current is entering the loop, so it's a 7 ampere here. And you know that this V is unknown. So this current direction is actually going in this way. So what you can do now, you can write another expression. What will be the answer here? V is equal to, if I want to write it in terms of I and 3.
69 by 5.
No, no. In this terms, like if I want to write voltage in terms of this current and the resistance 3, what will be the answer?
3i.
Why 3i? It will be minus 3i.
Simple off loop.
Minus 3i.
Yeah, yes.
minus 3.
Okay, because the direction of the current is fixed, as I am telling you again and again. This controlled source direction is fixed. We cannot change it. Though we wrote this by assuming nodal moving outside this node, current moving outside the node, but we are correcting that mistake by writing this. So here, if you solve this, your current value will come out to be minus 7/4 amperes. And so this is basically I1, this is basically I2. So the total net current I which we want you to calculate will be 3 minus 7/4, which is 5/4 amperes. Any questions here?
Sir, we
Sir,
will not
can you
replace
go,
CCVS.
This
Sir,
is
that
equal
3
to
minus 3i
minus
is
3i.
minus 3i,
Okay,
sir.
it's minus 3i because if you see this current, this direction is fixed. Everybody agrees with this?
Yes, sir.
So it will create a voltage drop like this, right?
Yes, sir.
So with respect to ground, this is ground, right? With respect to
Yes,
ground,
sir.
what is the potential,
Sir, it's
minus 3i.
right? So because potential is always a potential difference, right? You cannot have an absolute one. You have to be relative to some specific point. So this and nodal analysis, you are assuming this as ground. So with respect to ground, that is with respect to, let us say this is node X. So Vxg is minus 3i.
Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay. So
Sir,
yes.
sir, I just wanted to ask that in the circuit, the value of control source 3i is in that I is the total current which is passing through the 3 ohm resistor.
Uh-huh.
So can we just break down like this for like for supernode first
Yeah,
and
this is I1 and rather speaking in that sense, it's I2 here. This is I1,
so
this
we
is
can
I2.
write 3i1 and 3i2 at that control sources.
Yes, you can for that. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, 3I1, 3I2. Yeah, can be. Because now this I1 which I have written here for the left circuit, it's not same as this I. Why it's not same? Because you have removed this current source. It's not there. So it will be I1 and this is I2 and for this you have a 3I2 here. Okay? So this
Yes,
I1
sir.
and I2 will be later on added to get you the final I. Okay, so this basically gives you a overall idea of what superposition is all about. So in the next topic, what we will discuss now is we will discuss source transformations. Let me see that first. Okay, so we'll have another topic today for discussion. So it's source transformation. So this source transformation is also another technique of solving the circuits, and let us see what this is. So first of all, I want to cross check whether you are comfortable with these type of analysis or not. So if you have, let us say, a voltage sources like this. So you have a 9 volt minus, let us say here, and 24 here. So if I want to calculate the voltage at these 2 points which I have just indicated, what is that value? Can anyone, so are you comfortable with this? If I want to calculate, so I will go by KVL, right?
Yes, sir.
So what
Yes,
is the
sir.
final answer? The final answer is
55.
30.
30.
how much? 30? It's
30.
it will be minus 9 plus
Plus
24
24.
minus
Yes,
45.
sir, it will be
60.
minus
Minus 30, sir.
Minus 30, sir.
Minus 30.
Sir, 40.
So in this also we have discrepancy, huh? So it's minus 9 plus 24 and then minus 45. So what's the answer?
30 minus 30.
This will be the answer.
Minus
then.
30, sir.
Okay. So this is basically your the effective net voltage which you can write with this single voltage source instead of writing these three sources. Okay. Similarly, same thing happens for the current sources. So here you have, let us say, a current source like this. Let us say you have a current source like this, 40 milliamperes. Then you have a current source like this, 60 milliamperes. And then you have a current source like this, 20 milliamperes. And then you have a circuit like this. You have a circuit here. And you want to calculate I out this side. Then what you can do, you can easily see that this current is going up, this current is also going up, this current is going down. So effectively, if I want to calculate the net current, it will be what? It will be
80.
80 milliamperes.
going up or down?
80 million.
80 milliamperes.
So it will be up. Okay. So you can easily solve this type of things where you have. So what I'm trying to say is, if parallel current sources are there, you can easily add or subtract them in between the two nodes. If you have some current sources like this, provided there is no resistance in between. If there are no resistances if there are resistance in between, then you cannot do that. But if they are not, then you can easily add or subtract, because they are some way or the other flowing in between the two nodes. That's why you can add or subtract. So this is basically the concept here for simple reductions when you have multiple voltage sources and current sources, how you can do that simple reduction by combining all the three and get to the single current source. So,
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, if in a circuit both are present, current source and voltage source, then we will take separately the voltage source and then current source and then add the both.
You have to see, like, if you are finding in that situation voltage sources in this type of fashion, you can do it by combining it like that. And if you have, let us say here, you have a current source like this, let us say a current source like this, I1, I2, and then you have a current source going down, then you can connect a single current source with I1 plus I2 minus I3 like this. Okay. So now let us say we have a circuit here which is 550 volts, and then we have a 20k, then you have 100 volt like this, 3k, 30, 6k, and then we have this one. So let us say we have this circuit. Okay. So here, which from your past experience, which one will be most suitable? Can anyone answer? From your past experiences.
Mesh.
Super node.
Nodal?
Nodal.
Mesh analysis.
So
Mesh
basically,
analysis.
analysis.
Mesh analysis.
no, in this case,
Sir,
What-
super node.
no, there is no super node here, because it will not be a super node situation. Here, what you will use is the most easy one to go for is nodal analysis, because you see there is only single voltage source V you can calculate. Like if you put V here, then you will get this value of V easily by using nodal analysis. But if you go for mesh analysis, you will have 4 unknown variables: I1, I2, three unknown variables, and you have to write these equations, and then you can understand what trouble you will get, because you will have a matrix of 3 cross 3. Whereas in this case, you have only single voltage source, you can apply nodal analysis and get the results within seconds. So this is what I was trying to say, that depending upon the circuit, you have to observe which method is suitable. All these methods will give you same result, but you have to be clever in selecting which method to take to solve this circuit. But other than if it is not specified, then you can do these steps. But if it is specified in the question, you cannot do that. Even though if it's simple, then also.
Sir,
Okay.
what we studied previously, we can use in 12th standard. That method we can use here.
You can study whatever you have studied, you can do that methods also, provided we are not asking you to do that. If we are saying use nodal analysis here, then you cannot do anything. You have to do it by that method. But if I am saying solve this for the voltage, then you are free to take whatever method you want. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So I am repeating this several times on this, and I do not want any confusions later on. Like if you are solving by some other method, and even if we have given nodal, you cannot do that. So please keep this in mind. So now,
Sir,
yes.
don't we have to, in nodal analysis, don't we have to assume like two nodes at VA and VB there?
No, here there is no such kind of situation happening, right? There is no point in that will be zero, right? The VB part is zero, what you are thinking of, because here only you are referring this voltage V with respect to ground. So you can easily write these nodal analysis at this points.
Okay. Means at the intersections, like we'll apply KCL, means this current one, the KCL one, and then we'll from the equations we can find V, and that like that we have to do, right?
Yes, you can do like this, right? You can do V minus 50 divided by 5, then V minus 100 divided by 20K, then V minus 30 divided V plus 30 divided by 3K, and this will also be plus. Then you have V minus 60 divided by 6K. All of these currents are zero, right? Because we are assuming currents to flow like this. Okay. So once you solve this, you will get the value of V. So once V is calculated, you can calculate all these currents inside, right?
Yes.
Once V is calculated, let us say it's 6 volts, then you can easily calculate 6 minus 60 divided by I4. Oh, sorry, 6K, you will get I4. So in that way, I'm saying. So this is in single line you can calculate. But if you are doing mesh analysis, then you have to be, you have to write so many equations to solve for this.
Yes.
Answer will be same.
So when do we apply, like if there was resistor in between the like 20K and 30K, so 3K,
Okay.
then we would have applied another, then we would have another node.
Yeah, then you will have another node. And then also I think nodal analysis will be better to go for, because let us say
Yeah.
you have a resistance here, then this will be your V1 and this will be your V2. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Until unless if it's a short, then only it will have same potentials everywhere, right? I hope you know that, because if it's a short, the voltage will be same throughout. But if something is there in between, you cannot assume that voltages will be same. Okay, it will be different.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we will be trying to solve this particular thing, this circuit. We will come back to this circuit again, but we will try to solve this circuit using another technique which we are discussing in this lecture, which is source transformation. So right now I cannot do that because time is already over.